to ask Mr. Vyas, while you're laughing at what Mr. Kalappa is saying, I want to ask you.
Now you have to give me.
I want to ask you.
In all fairness, Marufji, in all fairness, you have to give me a chance to reply.
I will, and I'm just adding on another question.
Kind of argument. No, before they die down in the minds
we have
of the
enough
viewers.
time, Mr. Vyas. We have enough time for you to make your point also. I also want to add that for whatever the Congress is saying in their defense of Mr. Shinde, and it has to be an extremely strong defense at this point, but I want to ask you that as far as the BJP is concerned, isn't it a fact that suddenly after Mr. Sushilkumar Shinde, because for a while you've been very quiet, it has been directed more towards the Gandhis. Suddenly the BJP is realizing that here is a man who was criticized by Narendra Modi when he introduced the communal violence bill and tried to pass it in parliament, one. Secondly, he has been the one who initiated the inquiry into those Snoopgate charges against Narendra Modi. And he being your BJP prime ministerial candidate, obviously the entire BJP fold has decided that now they're going to launch this personal attack against Sushilkumar Shinde. Isn't that a fact?
Well, let me first deal with the points which were raised by Congress. Birth is a historic accident. So if you are 125 years old or 127 years old is not something which stands you in good stead when you make these arguments. And if you are so able and so capable, then the division of this country would not have taken place when we became independent. The problem of Kashmir would not have been created by Congress's inept handling. And some of your Congress-ruled states like Maharashtra and others would not have the major problems.
Just look at the pathetic role that the BJP has. They have to rely on some former Home Secretary who has been knocking at door after door, and now they have to rely on a person like Mr. RK Singh who has come to the Congress office to seeking position, and then he goes to the JDU, and then now he goes to the BJP. Just look at the pathetic state of affairs of the BJP, that they have to rely on a opportunist like Mr. RK Singh.
Let him make his point. He's given you time. He has a point, Mr. Kalappa. Go ahead, Mr. Vyas.
You had your time, you made your point.
You made your point, let him make his point also. Mr. Vyas, go ahead, please make your point. Please make it. Please make your point.
You have to listen to me.
No, instead of this fighting, I think the Congress and the BJP should just make their points.
Congress was half as serious as what is being talked about, then Kokrajhar would not have happened. So Congress, better they don't talk about minorities. They have always treated minorities as their vote bank. And they have treated minorities not as human beings, but the votes which are walking with two legs. I mean, what is wrong with BJP? BJP says that appeasement to none, justice to all. Anybody who is an Indian citizen must be dealt with similarly. So if you are going to create another law for, unfortunately we have not common civil code. There is a common criminal code. And by going by Shinde's diktats, you will create now another branch in the investigation department, then the trial will come.
So during the NDA years, what did you do for the common civil code, sir?
Let me ask you.
What did you do in the NDA years to bring the common civil code, sir?
This is a very dangerous game you are up to. No, this is Kalappaji, this is a very dangerous game. It can again divide this country into many parts.
Sir, we know.
No, but Mr. Vyas, have you forgotten Kota? Have you forgotten Kota which happened during the NDA? Even after that, you looked at available evidence.
Mr. Shinde, he is attacked on the points of principle. So this just cannot go on like this.
No, but Mr. Vyas, 2 points. One, Mr. RK Singh and the timing of his allegations is greatly questionable. Second, that even during the NDA rule, you had a review of what Pota had done. And there is more than enough empirical evidence which shows that most of the people, most of the youth who have been put in jails as far as terror charges are concerned, happen to belong to a certain community, and that community happens to be Muslims. That cannot be denied. There is empirical evidence, more than enough numbers for it. Should the Home Minister have said it? Clearly questionable. But you cannot deny the basic facts that are on the ground. I want to ask Mr. Kalappa, and I want to go back to the point. I'll come back to you, Mr. Vyas.
Marufji, you cannot divide crime by communities. This will be dividing the crime by communities, and it will be stamping.
I said that the usage of any particular community.
This hypothesis cannot be permitted.
Mr. Vyas, you have not heard the question that I am trying to make.
A large number of members from the minority communities who are good citizens and who are patriots. By stamping them as a community, that they are a community of criminals, I think we are doing absolute injustice to them.
Okay, last question to both. Last question to... I think you did not hear the entire thing I said. These days what happens on panel discussions is half the thing is not heard because the other person is trying to outshout you or speak louder. But Mr. Vyas, your point was heard. I'm going to ask a final question to both my guests since I'm running out of time. Firstly, very quickly to you, Mr. Kalappa. We have listed out, while you listed out a list of achievements of Mr. Sushilkumar Shinde, at the same time one cannot forget that he put his weight behind Sharad Pawar for the prime ministerial post. Again, another embarrassment for the Congress party. We are talking about how Mr. Shinde is becoming, you know, almost controversy's child, not just that, embarrassment's child, if there is a word like that.
No, I don't agree with you. This is a statement which he has made in his personal capacity. He says that Mr. Sharad Pawar is his political guru, and he would like Mr. Sharad Pawar to become prime minister. Whether the arithmetic suits or, you know, is convenient for Mr. Pawar to become prime minister is a different matter. But as a political shishya, saying that of his guru is a very nice gesture, and I don't think there's anything, it's not in conflict with the Congress party's view or anything. And as far as his other views, these are, you know, you can't hold a slip of the tongue against a man who has performed extremely well. And like I said, just because he smiles, just because he's an amiable man, but you just look at his record of achievements.
No, I don't think anybody has spoken about his amiable nature. But I'm running out of time, so I want to bring in Mr. Vyas also. Mr. Vyas, this whole argument, you're basing this entire attack against Mr. Shinde, based on what RK Singh is saying, who has been with Mr. Shinde, has been silent for so long. Secondly, Narendra Modi is talking about how he has used this directive, sent it to all the states, which is old news. Don't you think your entire attack against Shinde is very weak?
I don't think it is weak. I think this point will not die down. You know, it is an important point for country's survival. And if the day you start administering your criminal law by community, it will be a disaster. You can't have the law and order enforcing machinery work impartially. I mean, it is playing with fire, and this is not an issue which can be wished away. I mean, Mr. Shinde might have made this statement in whatever maybe his political reasoning, but it is absolutely a statement which cannot come from a Home Minister of India.
Well, I think all the viewers will know. One thing is for sure, all the viewers will appreciate that this fight between the BJP and the Congress, whether it is on Mr. Sushilkumar Shinde or other members from either party, is going to continue till we finally have elections of 2014. To Mr. Brijesh Kalappa and Mr. Vyas, thank you so much for joining me here on Newsnight.